Good afternoon, everybody. You're most welcome to the East Africa Law Society Females webinar this afternoon. You're most welcome. Let's give a few minutes as people keep joining us. My name is Mariam Babali. I am your host this afternoon, and I'm an advocate practicing in Uganda, and I'm the Vice Chairperson of the East Africa Female Lawyers Committee. So you're all most welcome. Just give us a few minutes and we allow everybody to sign in. Thank you. Okay. We have recently celebrated International Women's Day, and today we are going to have discussions around breaking the bias, and we have distinguished ladies on the call that are going to share their experiences with us, and we just can't wait. We just can't wait to rub in with all the expertise and experience they bring on board. So with me, I'll be joined with Miss Yolanda Awell, Honorable from South Sudan. You're most welcome. I'll be introducing my panelists and they'll be putting on their videos as I introduce them. We have Miss, yes, most welcome, Honorable Yolanda. Well, then, Joanne from South Sudan, you're very most welcome. We also have Mrs. Joyce Nalunga Bilimumaso from Uganda. You're most welcome, Madam Joyce. Kindly put on your video to allow people to see you. Yes, as Miss Joyce puts on her video, we are also joined with my co-host, the young, beautiful Annabelle. Annabelle Mwine is my co-host this afternoon. You're most welcome. We are also joined with Honorable Claire Akamanzi from Rwanda. You're most welcome, ladies. Madam Joyce, are you there? Thank you very much, everybody. And we're going to dive right in. Miss our Honorable Yolanda Awell from South Sudan to share her experience first. Yes. So Honorable Awell is a South Sudanese psychologist and mental health expert from and a politician in Juba. She holds a master's degree and a degree from the Royal Roads University in Canada. She has attended various institutions, specializing in working with the vulnerable and racialized population. She's a member of the Transitional National Legislative Assembly in South Sudan. So Honorable Yolanda Awell, you're very much welcome to this webinar, and we'd like to hear how you broke the bias all the way from Juba. Kindly share your experience with us. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I don't know if you can hear me well. I have got an issue of a little bit of connection, so I have to change offices, and I hope the connection is a little bit better here. It's my pleasure to be here today. I am excited, and I'm grateful that the women lawyers of East Africa, let me just summarize it that way, gave me this opportunity to represent the women of South Sudan, the South Sudan in general, and as a part of East African community. As Mariam has already mentioned, I am a politician here in South Sudan. I am a member of parliament. I have been for about 6-7 years, since 2015. And also, but my main area focuses on psychology or mental health, help for my country. What I have done, if I was going to sit here and talk about it, I would have to write a 300 pages book, because mental health in my country is actually like a big let me call it a block, like it's a very big barrier for my community. And if most of you know, South Sudan has been in the war for, I don't know, eternity, let me just call it that way. We go into one civil war, we come out, we go into another one, we come out. So there's a lot of trauma. We have got a lot of intergenerational trauma. I have experienced it myself. I was born about 38 years ago, and bulk of my life was actually in Kenya. I studied in Kenya, and then I left from Kenya to Canada. I finished part of my studies in Canada, and that's how I ended up, instead of doing medicine, which I got scholarship for, I ended up like doing psychology. I have got two degrees in psychology and about 4 certificates to specialize like in counseling and psychotherapy. And when I was in Canada, I was working with visible minorities, especially like the Black population, the Middle Eastern population, the Asian population. And when my area that I specialize in is what we call cultural psychology, bridging the gap between our cultural practices and our cultural belief in regard to mental health, and what science says about like our brain and our well-being. So I was in charge of transitioning refugees who come from the war-torn countries after they are settled from various areas around the world, including Ukraine. I had a bulk of clients from Ukraine because most of ethnocultural communities do not believe in a modern form of mental health. They think that is a myth. It's a Western created, which somehow is actually correct in a way because it's also like a Western practices. So what we do is trying to have got a psychosocial intervention program whereby our practices in regard to what we believe about what God says about our ancestors and all this kind of thing, and merge it together with what psychology says and what psychotherapy does. So I do a lot of psychotherapy sessions. 90% of them here in South Sudan, it is on a voluntary basis. I move from one community to the next to kind of break the barrier. So I wouldn't say that I have succeeded 100% in breaking, the biases, against mental health, the biases against the individual who are now in prison. I have got a chunk of my clients that are in prison because they have got a mental breakdown in the public. Some of them are shot. For example, that individual who was killed in Canada about 2-3 weeks ago, Lajor Chor, he was my client. And when I left, there was a vacuum because he's a Black person who is exactly a veteran of war who had left from Kakuma refugee camp in Kenya. Thank be to Kenyan government for hosting us for so many decades. He went to Canada, and because when I left, there was no another Black psychologist, there was no another Black psychotherapist in the area who understand the cultural background of the individual. He actually fell through the crack. And when he fell through the crack, his condition got worse. And was in condition got worse, instead of getting another psychotherapist or another psychologist to actually intervene, it was the police that was brought on site. Most of the police here, let's say in South Sudan or in Africa or in Canada, when they're dealing with individuals that are having a mental health illnesses or mental health, episode at that time, they will only look at criminality part of it. They will only look at what you are carrying. They will actually try to criminalize it. And that's how a lot of people loses their life, and that's how a lot of families are actually destroyed. So my work, and I hope to continue through the same path, combining it with politics. It is to focus, to break down the legal aspect, of mental health policies, of mental health bills, to decriminalize it. When somebody is experiencing a condition, it should not equate to you have broken a law. It should equate first to, could you get assisted? Could you get some assistance? Kenyans have actually tried their best, ahead of South Sudan and most of Africa in the region beside Rwanda. Mental health is an area whereby, as African, we actually need to kind of take it a priority, because if our mental health is suffering, If our emotional well-being is not aligned with what we are doing, we will fail at our other careers. You will not do a good job as a mother. You will not do a good job as a lawyer. You will not do a good job as a teacher. I will not do a good job as a politician. Like, you know, like if my spirituality, my emotional well-being, and my career is not aligned, you know, and 90% like of what is aligned as, it is actually like our emotional capacity, our mental capacity misalign a lot of things that we do. So as I mentioned earlier on, I can talk and on about like what I have done with mental health, but in a nutshell, my area focuses on making sure that our psychological well-being is actually a priority, and it's a priority that we need to pick up from all angles of life in our countries. And as we are celebrating or continue to celebrate International Women's Day, you know, and the theme is break the bias. You know, it is mental health is one of the biases that we need to break. It's one of the biases that like we need to create a lot of awareness from within ourselves, from within our small spaces like our offices, and from within our families, to look at it that it's not something that has a taboo. It should not be stigmatized. And I'll also appeal to some of my colleagues who are policymakers, like our lawmakers, to actually pick it up like in our own parliaments, and then make sure that, like, you know, health bill include mental health as a priority for the health of our nation. Thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate you, and happy International Women's Day.
Wow, wow, wow. That's very good, Yolanda. Honorable, you're doing a very great job. I can't imagine having to move and break the bias amidst a war zone area with the mental issues surrounding people. I can only imagine. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. You're doing such an incredible job over there. Thank you so much. I'll allow people to jot down their questions in the chat bar, and my co-host, Ms. Annabelle, will pick them up as we go along. Thank you so much, Honorable, once again. So we're also joined with, thank you. We're also joined with Madame Lulu Ngwana Chilala from Burundi. You're very much welcome to this webinar. We also have Madame Mercy Okiro from Kenya. She's an accredited arbitrator and assessor. You're also very much welcome. So I'm going to invite Madame Lulu Ngwana to share her experience. Madame Lulu, if you don't mind, kindly put on your video to allow our participants to engage better with you.
Yeah. Hello. So I'll start off by.
Sorry, Madame Lulu. Let me introduce you before you start.
Can
I
you
don't know if
hear
your
me?
network. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's a bit loud where I am.
Sorry about that. I'll just tell our participants something about you before you engage them.
Yes.
Okay.
Continue.
Welcome to this webinar. Madame Lulu is the CEO of the Legal Service Facility. She holds a master's in international law and human rights from the University of Liverpool. And prior to that position, she has worked as a country director with Agenda Health. She has also worked as an executive director at Umeti. She has 15 years experience in health and community development plans. So you're much welcome to this webinar, and we'd like to hear how have you done it? How have you done all the way from Burundi? How are you doing it? And how can you add on to what we already know or what we continue learning? Since breaking the bias is continuous. Kindly share your experience. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think I'll start off by first. I have to do this. I'm sorry. I've lost you. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I have to do this. I'm sorry, I have to correct you. So my name is Lulu Ngwana, but I'm actually from Tanzania. Very much from Tanzania.
From Burundi.
And a very proud Tanzanian. A very, very
Thank
proud
you.
Tanzanian. I'm actually both from the mainland and Zanzibar, so I'm the Union of Tanzania.
Thank you.
Yes, born and raised. My bio, that one is a bit old, but I will leave it at that. Those are things I used to do a long time ago. I'll share with you my most current bio because you have a very old one. But yeah, I work as the CEO of the Legal Services Facility, which is a basket fund that works to provide access to justice for all, in particular for women, which basically works with organizations across Tanzania, mainland and Zanzibar. We support over 200 organizations, but also work with about 4,000 paralegals. And the main focus is on, as I said, access to justice overall, but looking at legal access to legal aid services for those who cannot afford those services, looking at creating a conducive environment in terms of the laws, policies, and also guidelines that either hinder the development, women's development or women's rights, or somehow are needed in order to support women's rights and protection. Another area we focus on is on legally empowered communities. So in legal empowerment, it's very important for us, for communities, especially women and girls, to know the law, to use the law, and also to shape the law, to inform their communities, and also to demand for their rights. And then the fourth area that we work on is on ensuring that the sustainable accessibility to legal aid services, but also access to justice in general. Apart from that, I'm also the chairperson of the Tanzania Women Lawyers Association, which has many members, almost 300 members, and covers members from all walks of life, members who work in policy, in the judiciary, in public service, including the parliament, the government itself, members who work in private practices. We have our founding members, senior members, and also very high level members, including our current speaker, who is also a member, and a number of other members. So we're very proud of the work that we do as TAWLA, Tanzania Women Lawyers Association. In terms of how I got to where I am today, I guess it has always been it's been sort of a need. This is what I have always wanted to do, always known that this is what I will be doing. And so I guess my sort of direction from an early age has been towards attaining and achieving this goal, which was to ensure that I am able to be in a position where I can influence and I can impact a lot of women's lives in terms of making sure that women's rights are adhered to, are upheld, and women have access to services, and also access to certain rights and also supportive mechanisms. But also in terms of my leadership journey, I guess, again, this is also something that has been building up for a very long time. So started off from, again, an early age, because I have always, I believe leadership is something that we all have within us. And for me, it's been something that has always been there. So you put yourself up and say, I am willing to stand for myself, but also for other people, take on opportunities and responsibilities at an early age, but also do as much as possible to be able to learn and grow through the process, and also show what you can do. It has to do with a lot of determination, a lot of hard work, and a lot of perseverance as well, because it's not easy. But you have to really work hard at it, be determined, and show that you're serious about it. Integrity is quite a big part of it. And also, again, I always talk about how, you have to show with your work what you can do. Let your work speak for itself, show the results of your work, but also be able to, along the way, guide and support others with your vision, and carry people with you as well, because it's not a one-person journey. It's a team effort, and I think the more you're able to engage with others, the more you're able to. So people's skills are really important, but the more in partnerships and networks and connections, but also being very engaging in terms of your intentional in terms of your actions. I think that also helps, but also building the capacity of others, and carrying others forward with your vision so that they are able to see your vision. And I believe having good strategies is not enough. You also have to be able to execute very well. So it's all about execution, because it doesn't really mean anything unless it's well executed, and then you can show the results of what it is that you've been able to achieve. I will stop there for now, but feel free to ask questions or ask me to continue. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Madame Lulu. Madame Lulu is from Tanzania, everybody. Don't take her to Burundi as yet. Thank you so much. Madame Lulu believes in let your work speak for yourself. I'm sure her work has brought her places. Thank you so much. She believes in building capacity, and having just good governance and strategy is not enough without good execution. So thank you so much for sharing your experience. On the call, we also have Honorable Claire Akamanzi from Rwanda. Honorable Akamanzi from Rwanda. Claire, you're most welcome to this call. And she's our next speaker. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Claire. Claire is a Rwandan lawyer, entrepreneur, politician. She was named by Forbes Africa among the 50 most powerful women in Africa. She has 15 years experience in economic development. She's the CEO of Rwanda Development Board. She's also a member, or has been a member of the cabinet of Rwanda, and has also served as head of strategy and policy under His Excellency President Paul Kagame. So Madame Claire Akamanzi, you're most welcome. We are honored in your presence, and thank you for being part of this webinar. How did you break the glass ceiling? How did you do it over there? Help us inspire a few of us over this side. Thank you, and you're most welcome to share experience.
Thank you very much, Mariam, for having me here. Indeed, it's a pleasure for me to join lawyers, especially women lawyers from the East African Law Society. So as Mariam said, my name is Claire Akamanzi, and I currently serve the government of Rwanda as the CEO of the Rwanda Development Board, which is in charge of promoting private sector, including attracting investments, negotiating privatization deals, negotiating public-private partnerships on behalf of government. We're also in charge of tourism and national parks, among many other responsibilities, including being the company registration, intellectual property registration, and mortgage registration office on behalf of the government of Rwanda. I'm also privileged and honored to be a member of cabinet of Rwanda, but I trained as a lawyer. I am a trade and investment lawyer. My initial specialization was trade and investment negotiations, but I currently serve within the government as a head of the development board, as I said. So maybe I'll just talk about 5 things, if I may, Mariam. One is, I think for women lawyers, especially the young ones, the first thing that I think we should keep in mind is to prepare ourselves so that when opportunity knocks on our door, we are ready. And that starts from right from school, making sure that you have your degree, making sure you have your bar exam if you've had to do one, making even sure you have a master's degree and getting some areas of specialization that you're passionate about, whether you want to become an environmental lawyer or a health lawyer or a gender lawyer, whatever it is that you decide to do, getting ready and being prepared so that when opportunity comes, you're really ready for it. I think that is really, really critical. And in addition to that, as part of preparing, to prepare to excel and to lead, I think you should also be very ready to always show up because there's always opportunities for you to come forward and show up and be able to take on responsibilities. For example, there might be opportunities to serve in your local law society, in your own country, your respective organization, or even you might be serving as a company lawyer, or and there might be opportunities for people to come and volunteer. Having a reputation of that person that whenever they're needed, you're there, you show up, you don't disappoint, you're reliable. If something needs to be done over the weekend, because once you have not just the academic credentials, but also the reputation as somebody who's ready and who's known as reliable, I think when opportunity comes, it cannot leave you because you have really prepared yourself to start with. So that's the first point I wanted to share, which is really prepare yourself so that you're ready when opportunity comes. The second one is that look out for mentors. Look out for successful people, whether it's successful lawyers in your chapter, or whether it's the CEO in your organization, or even the leaders of the country. I mean, look for mentors and people that, one, you can always learn from, but two, are always willing to give you a chance and to give you an opportunity. I'm very, very, very privileged that in Rwanda, the president of our country, His Excellency Paul Kagame, has always been very open to giving opportunities to women, to young people. And as long as you're available and ready to be given a chance, he's always ready to give you a chance. And so being able to look up to somebody like that, who is leading a country, who is willing to support and encourage young people and women, and being able to really make sure that you learn and you take on, if you're given an opportunity, you take it with both hands, you give it your heart, you give it your soul, you give it your mind, and you really seek to support you, that they know that you're not taking it for granted. I think one thing also is mentors are inspired by people who actually are worth mentoring. So you must make sure that you don't just take your mentor for granted. You actually are really doing your best to make sure that the mentor knows that this person I'm betting on, I'm giving a chance, deserves it, and is going to do their very best to make sure it happens. So really making sure that you do your best and never disappointing people that give you a chance. And these people are there. There are people in organizations, there are people in law firms. It could be a partner in a law firm, it could be a CEO, it could be a leader, it could be a minister if you work in a ministry, it could be many others. So just making sure that you look out for these mentors, but also you keep making sure that you're working very hard to let them know that you deserve that chance. They will give you even more chances. They say, the more you do, the more you can do. And so the more you show that you can do, the more you'll be given a chance to do even more. The third one, and I think the speaker before me from Tanzania did touch on this, at the end of the day, what really matters is the results. It's results, it's results, it's results. At the end of the day, whether you are going to be trusted by your client, or you're going to be trusted by a customer in a bank, or you're going to be trusted by even the leaders or your seniors, it's at the end of the day going to down to results. So be very clear about what results mean in your organization. Is it how many cases you win? Is it how many transactions you deal with? Is it how much money you bring to the law firm? Is it whatever it is that, or are you working in a bank? Is it how much you facilitate? Is it how many contracts you sign? Be very clear about results, what results mean in your respective context, and then make sure that you are able to articulate and say, from January to December, these are the results that we worked on and were able to achieve. And when you're able to clearly define what those results mean, be ready to articulate them. I think one thing about women, sometimes we're very shy to talk about some of the results that we do. And I think it comes from a good place, because women probably don't like to brag. We're very communal and very selfless, but you must be able to articulate your results. Yeah, and sometimes people need to hear you, articulate those results to actually realize that you've done those results. So when you get a platform, whether it's a meeting, a senior management meeting, or whether it's a press conference, or whether it's a shareholders meeting, use those platforms to articulate those results, because then people will notice and people will actually realize that you're delivering and you can be trusted to deliver even more. So results are very important. And that's also part of accountability, really. I think a good practice is accountability. When you are able to articulate
Honorable is network. Yes, as Honorable returns back, let's reflect on some of her points.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you. Go on.
Sorry about that. And please do stop me if you can't hear me, so we're together. Yeah, so the fourth part that I want to talk about, I think I hope you heard about results and why results are very important. But the fourth one is at the end of the day, you have to be humble also. However good you are, however great you are, however much you're a big achiever, humility is a very strong point, because people need to trust people that, show that it's not about themselves. It's about a collective good that you're trying to do. It's about improving the lives of society. It's about representing people so that, the right decision is made in court. For example, it's not so much about yourself, but it's about the work. And being able to project that, I think, is a very big asset that sometimes people overlook. You can be strong, you can be great, but still be humble. And I think remembering that humility at the end of the day is a very good virtue that also creates trust that people can have in you.
We still lost you over there, Honorable Claire. While we are enjoying the point of humility. Okay, as Honorable Claire comes back, I could give a recap on a few of her points. She has talked about having a mentorship, being ready for the opportunity, and being humble. And while you're humble, don't always get shy about articulating what you do and what you've done. Opportunity knocks once. That's something we can always remember. Thank you. We're still enjoying those good points. Honorable Claire from Rwanda. I hope everybody has picked up at least all the 4 points. We'll invite her when the network gets better. Thank you so much. We shall now have
Is it better, Mariam?
It's now better. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I've given a recap. No, it's okay. I've given a recap on your points. You can continue.
Okay, so I think I was just saying humility is important, and that was my second last point, was my fourth point. And I'll just give you an example. When I was a young lawyer doing trade negotiations in Geneva, I was an intern when I started. And when I went to these WTO negotiations, one day a man who was probably 20 years older than me, in an African group setting, shouted at me and said, "You're an intern, what are you doing here? You cannot be negotiating on behalf of your government," and chased me out of the room. And remember, I really wanted to be relevant and I really wanted to be supportive. So I started printing, all the documents they needed. And whenever one of them didn't have a document, I always had one ready to give them. And then when they would be looking for information, about a position for negotiations at the World Trade Organization, I was always ready to give them the information they needed. And then they started to trust me. And over time, they stopped looking at me as an intern, but as somebody that was useful and relevant, because when they didn't know the different positions that different countries were putting in place for negotiations, I was always ready to give it to them or read it for them. Before I knew it, I was back on the table and being trusted to, to really contribute substantively. I could have been proud and said, they've chased me out of the meeting. I'm a lawyer. I have a master's in trade and investment. Let me go out and, and get annoyed. But, just changing the strategy and being available and, some humility and saying, okay, I'm an intern, but maybe I need to earn your trust. And when I earned their trust and earned their credibility, they trusted me more. And I remember I was about 25 or 26 years of age. And soon after that, they started trusting me, and I became the coordinator for trading services negotiations for African Group, which was something that, I had to earn and work for with that experience of being an intern.
Network getting in the way of us enjoying all these farm projects. Yes, continue.
Yeah, the last point is that, yeah. Masters-in-law, don't be comfortable and think that you study once and you always have to keep fresh and keep updating yourself. Learn these new things. When they talk about digital transformation, what does it mean for a lawyer? When we talk about robotics, block technology, what do the things mean? How can we update ourselves to remain relevant and fresh? If it means doing a course, do it. If it means going back to school, do it. I went back to school when I was 35 and I did a master's in public administration at the Harvard Kennedy School because I saw that I needed to learn the latest trends in economic development because I was doing more and more work in economic development as a trade and investment lawyer. So I took off a year and went back to school, and that kept me fresh and kept me, in tune with what was happening all over the world. So keep fresh. Don't allow your credentials to expire just because you think you have it all. Keep fresh, and that will pay off in the long term. So those are my 5 points, and my apologies that I kept breaking up, but I'm happy to share that with you. And I hope one day one of you or many of you can come to Rwanda. And if you do come to Rwanda, remember that there's Claire at the Rwanda Development Board. I really would love to connect with you when you're in Rwanda or even in your country. Thank you again for inviting me, and have a good afternoon.
Thank you so much, Honorable. Those were 5 great points. Even with the network, you still pull through. We are very excited to have had. It's very important to be humble. You've told the ladies not to be comfy, and I'm sure they are all in agreement with all the 5 points. Thank you so much, and we are honored to have you on this webinar. Thank you so much. So on the call, I'm also going to invite a lady from Uganda, Mrs. Joyce Nalunga Birimaso. Miss Joyce, you're most welcome to this webinar. Miss Joyce is a professional. She's currently an honorable member of the Leadership Code Tribunal in Uganda. She's rising in the Leadership Code. She was a CEO of our Uganda Law Society, and she was awarded by ILAS as the best CEO of the Bar Association. Miss Joyce, your bio is so long and very impressive. We'd like to hear you share your experience. How did you break the glass ceiling? Kindly inspire a 2 or 3 on this webinar. You're most welcome, Madam.
Thank you so much, Mariam. I applaud the ladies that have already presented very articulately on aspects that touch us as women lawyers. Thank you, Claire, Hafsa, Mercy, and for articulating those issues. Like we've all agreed, there's a lot of gender bias in the legal profession that is affecting so much of what we need to do. And we are here basically to have a conversation on how best we can break the glass ceiling within the legal profession. I noticed, years back when I was a CEO, that unconsciously and implicitly, sometimes the male lawyers would have a gender insensitive, language towards the female lawyers. And I'm really happy and excited that the Uganda Law Society, bearing in mind that women lawyers are supposed to be on top. One, we have a president currently who is a female, president, Madame Fiona Wall. And then during my time as a CEO, we kind of advanced the gender agenda. We adopted the gender policy. We also adopted and developed an anti-sexual harassment policy in the legal profession. We already had a vibrant female lawyers committee. And this year alone, I witnessed the Female Lawyers Committee create an annual Female Lawyers Conference. It was very wonderful. And then we've also had the Female Lawyers Awards. So in Uganda Law Society, we are somewhere, but we are not yet there. And I think that's why I need to start from this conversation. I believe without any doubt that as the female leaders, we need to shun any form of gender bias. We need to break it totally. We need to combat it head on. And it's going to require a lot of our strong input. For starters, we need to build a more diverse legal profession, a profession where the intake of female lawyers is not compromised in any way. So this means that so many of our girls in lower schools need to be encouraged to take on the profession. But most importantly, for us that are already there, we need to ensure that the female lawyers' contribution in the legal profession is upheld. And like I said, we have that award system. We need to take it a notch higher. I believe you can agree with me that gender biases are the cause of negative energy in the legal profession. They create a negative influence, they derail, they hinder opportunities and growth, and most importantly, they limit exposure of skill and talent in the profession. As we all know, women are so skilled and talented. Women leaders are very vibrant, they're dynamic, they're versatile. When they take on any responsibility, they transform it completely. So we need to break the gender bias because of its negative effects, its negative influence, its hindrance of sustainable development, its hamperment of growth. We need to combat it head on. And the key question here is, what do we need to do? We have to do quite a number of things. First and foremost, we need to have a continual mindset change. We need to change our mindset. We need to appreciate that we are the movers and the shakers of this generation. We are the people that are going to change the narrative as regards the gender bias. So as the women leaders already in senior positions, we need to sing the song that gender bias is unacceptable, it is intolerable, and it should not be in any way tolerated. We need to recognize it's there and strategize on how we need to combat it. That is a conversation we are having. So we need to have what we call gender awareness sensitization. Excuse me. We need to have the gender awareness sensitization. I'm glad Law Society has a female lawyers committee. We need to go in all the law schools, in all universities, and empower with knowledge the female young lawyers so that they come when they know that they're very important in the profession. It has to be a deliberate effort. It has to be intentional. We need to go out there and adopt gender policies in the private legal practice. I noticed when I was a CEO that apart from ULS, adopting a gender policy, most of the law firms don't have gender policies. Even the legal departments don't have gender policies. You cannot push a gender agenda until you have a policy. So we need to create those policies. We need to create awareness. We need to be deliberate. We need to make sure that the gender bias narrative is in existence. And we need to be the gender champions as female lawyers, because it starts with us and then it trickles down to other women in the community. Why do I say it starts with us? We are the ones responsible for law reform and regulation. So once we pick the narrative and the agenda, then we can easily pass it on to the rest. I also agree with what my colleagues have ably articulated, that us, the women lawyers, need to prepare for opportunities. We need to skill ourselves, we need to retool, we need to undergo training. I pray that we adopt a regular gender bias training. In every bar association, let there be a gender bias training in our CLE calendar, where women lawyers in senior position that are breaking the glass ceiling come up and say, no one should bias you based on your gender, no one should deny you opportunities, no one should to base your performance and review based on gender. So we need to create opportunities for young lawyers, female lawyers, to come and take them on. And we need to diversify the boardroom. We need to make sure that when it comes to law reform, we are very specific that a certain percentage should be for female lawyers. So as I conclude, it's my humble prayer that female lawyers embrace the opportunities available. We need to be more articulate. We need to be more organized. One of the things that hinders people is the perception. How do we see ourselves? Are we aware that we are generation breakers? One of the other things that limits people is the attitude, the character. We need to dig deep into our potential wells and realize that we can get better if we choose to get better, that we can move the agenda if we decide to move the agenda. So for me, I believe that all these things will push us to digital integration, to move us to digitalization. We'll be able to have all those aspects. And I also appreciate the aspect of trying to get mentors. I realize that so many young female lawyers don't have mentors. When you have a mentor, they can be able to guide you with your vision casting. You can know where you're going and how you need to get there. So I believe as we continue with this conversation, we need to standardize our mentoring. We need to utilize our e-mentoring. We need to reach out, and then we'll be able to break the glass ceiling. Thank you so much, Mariam. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Madam Joyce from Uganda. You've taken the conversation right to the grassroots. Madam Joyce is echoing, let us speak policy. Let us take the conversation to our girls, to the law societies. Let us speak bigger and be able to cure the disease of gender bias. Thank you so much, Joyce. That's been a very interesting conversation, and we appreciate you for sharing that experience. Thank you so much for honoring this invite. So I'm going to invite our next speaker. Our next speaker is Madam Mercy Okiro from Kenya. She's an accredited tutor and assessor from Chartered Institute of Arbitrators in London and also in Nairobi. She holds a master's degree in international studies from University of Nairobi and is awaiting to be awarded her master's. She's on the panel of mutuals of various institutions. She's listed on the panel as a pro bono lawyer of sports disputes, and she has occupied the space as a vice chairperson of CAPE's Agenda Sector Board, among so many boards. Let us welcome Madam Mercy Okiro from Kenya to share her experience. You're most welcome, Mercy.
Thank you so much, Mariam. I apologize that I've changed the venue 3 times. Not in my area that I usually operate from, so it's noisy, it's a mess, but I hope I manage, because I'm literally kneeling. I'm literally almost kneeling. Okay, no problem. Thank you so much for inviting me, and I'd like to appreciate the speakers who've spoken before me, phenomenal women, and I think more or less it is apparent that I'm the youngest one here. And so I can't speak and say we senior women, we older women. I'm older, but not older than too many people who are above the age of majority. So I think what I'd like to say is highlight the tips that I think would be workable for someone who sees perhaps that these positions are reserved for women who are of a certain age or the older people. Because I started sitting in boards, at least private sector boards, when I was about 27 or thereabouts. So I don't think, might have even been 26. So I want to perhaps give hope and also perhaps move the conversation for others who might be of younger age. Now, the first thing I think has been said, so I'll just say you have to commit to learning new things. For you to be a useful, and I'm talking with the aim of getting into leadership either as a board of directors, or getting into leadership even elective or nominated. And then unfortunately, I'll just say this, and I know it will come out badly, but then I think that's one of the challenges that Madam Joyce has just addressed, Madam Nalunga has just addressed. I'll even shy away a bit from elected positions and think about nominated and appointed positions. You have to commit to learn new things, because no one is going to appoint you on a board when they don't know what else you're going to bring over and above. Like right now, this, as has been said, issues of AI, issues of blockchain technology, even arbitration 10 years ago was still a new thing in Africa. So those of us who managed to jump onto that bandwagon early enough and specialize, you see, we basically expanded our skill set so that I'm not just a lawyer who just does normal litigation. Things like sports, things like learning audits, governance, how boards work, issues of climate change and environment, technology, which are here. Because when boards are appointing you, of course, there's a whole issue of patronage. But if you want to get into boards, even private sector boards or leadership organizations that require you to demonstrate a skill set, you have to be on top of your things and ahead of the curve. Another thing I'd say is strategy. There are a few people who just wake up one day and decide, I want to be the president, whatever, and next year they vie and win. Unfortunately for me, that has not been my journey. There's nothing in my life that has happened by accident. Even my mom told me she had planned for me. And I'm joking. So then basically my point is this: I've strategized for everything. I decided by 35 I'd want to sit in a government board. I said by 30 I want to sit in several private sector boards, and all that happened. So you have to work backwards on your goals. You say, I want this board. Now you go and look at the constitution of the board and you decide, how is that board constituted? What are the skill sets? Whom do you know who can link you up with the people in that board? So then now you start understanding what skill set you need to get. And also even in terms of other opportunities, as has been said by previous speakers, with strategy then means you're organizing yourselves. And by organizing yourself, it's basically the issue of luck is when opportunity meets preparation. An opportunity could come if we want board members of 5 years post-admission with a master's degree. You don't have a master's, so when someone with a master's gets the opportunity, you can't say they are lucky. Where is your master's? Another thing is, when you're younger, perhaps you see the more accomplished lawyers, like on this panel who have spoken before me, you see them perhaps making work look easy. When they go to boards, you see it looks so easy for them. When they get into parliament, you see it's like easy for them. I'll tell you this: be ready for your life to change and be ready for the hard times when you get into these things that you aspire for, if you get them when you're younger than usually is. Because once you get there, you'll not play the age card again and say, I'm the vice chair of one of the largest government parastatals in Kenya. Then I go there and I become a child. No, I wanted to be vice chair, now here we are. So I have to act like vice chair. Your responsibility to change how you relate to people is also different. How people start referring to you, like for me, sometimes people call me Madam Vice Chair. I forget and I continue walking. Or I'm like, oh, it's me. But now I'm used to it. But the very first days, of course, it was a bit weird. So when you want to get into those positions that you think are juicy or whatever, once you get them, be ready to change your life. Be ready for hard times. And since this is a women's forum, I'll tell you, most of these places are occupied by men. Like me, the board I'm vice chair of, it's only a men board. It's full of men only. So you have to know those are the challenges, dealing with men only, being a young person, so you're dealing with older men. And sometimes even if there are women there, they might not relate with you if you're a younger person on some things. But then you're there for the ramble. So as a woman, be aware of things about, and say quickly, things about how you're viewed in the office, how you dress. You might say my dress, my choice, but I'll tell you things like dress are very important when you want to get into this position and how you present yourself. Another thing I'd say is soft skills vis-a-vis hard skills. And I say social capital is very important, because social capital is where someone, and really I can tie this in with the question of mentorship, so that you can say the difference between a sponsor and a mentor is there. A sponsor is actually someone who's willing to put your name out for opportunities in behind closed doors that even you cannot access. For instance, there's a meeting right now at the principal secretary's office. They say we need a lawyer who can draft this. If your sponsor is in that meeting, they'll say, I know Mariam Babali, she can do that job. But then a mentor will give you guidance and whatever. So you want to have a mentor, and then you can also get a sponsor. Another thing also is the issue, as I said now, soft skills, hard skills. You have to think about soft skills are important, because it is soft skills that people, sometimes you could be qualified, but you just don't have good social networks or good social capital. No one knows about you. So it is important. However, marry your soft skills and hard skills, because soft skills can say, she's so nice to me, let me give her this opportunity. But then you do not have the metal and the hardware to complete the task that has been assigned. So think about your social capital, but as you're also building your social capital, balance it with your hard skills. The last thing I'll say, because maybe two last things, because I think it's an ongoing conversation, and my previous panelists have said a lot more. We also have to really, I just have to say this, since it's a women's platform, basically a conversation with women and for women. Women generally, you ask some questions that, apart from the fact that there's a patriarchy and of course discrimination in Africa, women of course may not have the same opportunities for now due to traditions and other barriers. I can also say this, women are self-limiting, because when we have organization here in Kenya for women on boards, and even when I've had conversations with women who want to join boards, most of them, or even politics, or any what is considered top level leadership, most of them will find them saying, oh, I'm afraid of politics, I'm afraid of boardroom politics. So what happens if this happens? Like, women second guessing themselves and not putting them. Men enter in those boards even without qualifications. So sometimes you just have to be like a man and enter that board and sort yourself and look at, no one 100% of everything before they get the opportunity. And women self-limiting themselves is also when I've asked in a group, in a WhatsApp group here in Kenya, there's a news anchor who's a friend of mine who's looking for a person to address this issue on live TV at 9. No lawyer out of 250 women, because it was a group for women, addressed that. They all kept quiet and went under until I prodded one, then the other one accepted. So we also need to stop self-limiting ourselves, because some of the issues that we're facing is because women have this thought. Sometimes even I have that, but I'm just saying this, we'll start to work on it together and individually. Is self-limiting. Another thing is just know that you are not a man and you'll never be a man. So this thing of as much as we are going towards gender equality and gender equity, as we're pushing for equality of sexes and representation and opportunities, if you see it has given you a position, don't go there and start now being the man with your legs sitting like a man. Your femininity is also your strength, and use it appropriately, because there's a reason that you were born a woman, so that there's balance in society. So don't think that for you to succeed in a male-dominated world, you have to now be a man, more or less. You can balance your femininity and just be fun. The last thing is volunteering. The value of volunteering, I think, has been said. When you are at the beginning of your career, some people will be lucky to get the plum jobs, to get into parliament, to get into big offices, so they're lucky. But the truth of the matter is that's not the story for most people. The work that you do when you're starting and the free work that you do when you're starting is the work that will build your portfolio for bigger things. I used to sit in pro bono boards. I actually started in pro bono boards. Pro bono meaning no pay and all work all day. Since I was 26, 27, I got into my first government board in my early 30s. Now that one where you're paid to be in the board. But I still sit in the CAPSA board. That is pro bono, apart from a few opportunities. So you have to build your portfolio, because that big thing you want, when you get it, are you even prepared? Have you seen something like that ever being done? Like for me, I could understand how board meetings are conducted because I have sat in others pro bono. The last thing is, it's just, you have to understand that the higher you go, the hotter it will go. And this is just something I must emphasize, because people tend to underestimate you, first of all, sometimes if you're a woman, and the second time you might get underestimated because you're young. So when the combination is there, it can be really hot. So the higher you rise, the hotter it will get. So be prepared for the rumble. But now I'm not scaring people. I'm just saying be prepared, and don't feel bad if you don't know things. Don't feel bad if you're confused or ashamed, because I can assure you again, men don't show those things even when they're afraid and confused. They'll still say what they think is right and assume is right. So I think that's all for now. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I will wait for Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you, Mercy. That's been an interesting conversation, Mercy. Thank you so much. Mercy is speaking about build your portfolio. Be ready. Let the opportunity find you ready. Don't sit and relax. Strategize. So thank you, Mercy, for that session. That has been much impressive. Thank you so much. On the call, I have my co-host, Annabelle, who will take us through our Q&A, and we invite some of our people, the participants. I can see some men that joined us. Maybe they could tell us. We are breaking the bias. Yes,
Thank you,
Annabelle.
Mariam. I've been going through the session and the chat section, and so far it's just mainly compliments and the ladies being very grateful for the advice. We did have one question though that Lulu answered. The question was to do with mentors. She asked, when a panelist talks about mentors, must a chosen mentor be a female, or could it be a male, as long as they uphold the values and the professionalism required of the growth of a young female lawyer? And Lulu responded and said that you don't have to have a female mentor. You can be mentored by anyone, male or female, as long as they are professional and are able to support your career as well as your personal growth. As a mentor, she is and still, but I'm sorry, as a mentor, I have and still do mentor both male and female mentees, and it works out very well. Our mentorship also does not have to be formal, does not need to happen through formal mentorship programs. It can be done on a one-on-one informally, as long as it's kept professional. A lot of people agreeing with Lulu's response. That's it in that chat. I don't see anything in the Q&A. Just mainly praises for the mentors and all, for the panelists and on all the sage wisdom that they have shared today.
Thank you so much, Annabelle. This has been an interesting conversation. I can see some attendees are men. I love it when men like to enter the spaces of women and enjoy such discussions. I don't know if we still have time to allow panelists. Do any of you want to share or expand more on their issue? Kindly let me know. I'm happy to have you. Otherwise, I'm happy to also invite few participants. You can raise your hand and share one thing or two. I'm happy to receive about 3. It's time to get the conversation on the table. We have been saying females are left behind, need gender equality. Now the bias has been broken. How do we handle it? What has been our experience? Those have been some of the important, interesting talks. I would like to, I don't know if Honorable Claire Akamanzi is still there. I'll be happy to hear her expand on the mentorship, because I think I had her speak first about it, but I think she's left us. Otherwise, I'm very excited that we now have spaces like this where we get to share and interact. As mothers, we are the future of the nation, and I'm happy we have this conversation. So I want to invite our panelists. Anyone wants to share more about any issue? Anyone wants to expand on it? Honorable Yolanda? Any last words before I close the webinar? Madam? Yeah. Okay, go on.
No, the final thing that I just want to mention is to kind of feedback on what all the speakers have actually brought up, like the importance of networking, among ourselves, like as East African community, the importance of networking as African women, the importance of networking with fellow women around the globe. Because I came to this platform because I have got a network with somebody here. If I didn't have that network, with somebody here, I would not be able to kind of get the opportunities that Clara was actually talking about earlier on, if I can remember it very correctly. And as we always know that opportunity knock once, and if that opportunity knock once and you are not ready for it, you will not be able to maximize it. And how do you maximize it? You will maximize it by having all tools in your handbag, literally. Like the network. For example, I will know if I need something in Kenya, I will know who to contact. If I need something in Tanzania, now I have got Lulu, or I have got somebody else in Uganda, somebody else in some part of Africa. That's number one. Number two, it is the importance of believing in yourself. Like you have to believe in yourself that like whichever capacity of an office you are holding, you do it to your best, so that like this bias, like of our counterpart men saying that like, when we give this thing to a woman, she will not do it properly. So if you are given an opportunity, make sure that you maximize it and make sure that like you try to keep yourself better. Those are the few words that I would just like to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable.
There is another question.
Yes, you can fire away, Annabelle.
Okay. How do you, Jacqueline is asking, how do you deal with women who are in the same space as you, but instead of supporting you, they fight you?
Okay, let me invite, I see a hand up. Honorable Yolanda, you want to answer the question?
Thank you. I don't want to be taking all the time talking, but that question is one of the things that I have been dealing with, because I just turned 38, and in South Sudan, when we are, is that my mic? Okay, something's screeching. I don't. Something's screeching. I don't understand. Yeah. So here in South Sudan, when you are below 35-year-old, you are considered a child. So, and I have been involved in politics from when I was 21 years old. So it is one of the struggles I have been having a lot from the female older women, like those who have been here longer than me. So how I handled with it was actually identifying their interests. What are their interests? What are their fears? And I had one-on-one with them. And instead of them feeling like, defensive, I actually try to recruit them to be on my side, and I let them see my interest, and I saw their interest, and cooperation is always the best. Instead of fighting one another, you try to cooperate with them. You use psychology against them. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Yolanda. You say use psychology against
them. I think I can comment on that, because I think when Honorable Yolanda said that, even me at 33, I was a vice chair of a government board in this country. And of course, the first day you walk, the board is people over 45. You look around and you're the only one. Of course, you might have that problem of people perhaps not taking you seriously. However, one thing I'll say, first of all, learn how to separate professional and personal life if you can. But then also be more self-aware to understand the difference between being a nice, smiley person because some people just have a more light-hearted personality, and now being a person who just laughs willy-nilly and just being careless, because there's a thin line between being friendly and being seen as a joker. So you have to know which line you want. Be self-aware as to how you present to people, and also in professional settings, if you can, put yourself out in a professional way, because sometimes people, just the first impression, what they get of you, it will be hard to erase. But then the last thing also, now don't be this serious person so that you lose your authenticity. Anyone who knows me in person knows I laugh loudly, I smile a lot, but then I know I have to do that kind of, sometimes people pick me because they want me, they know we will be laughing the whole time and I'll be smiling the whole time. But then now it's balance and be self-aware of not just yourself, but also your surroundings. Because underestimation, you can be underestimated because you are short. You can be underestimated because you are thin. It can be some things that are beyond even your control, or your voices. Some women have the shrill voice. You sound like a baby. So anything could, so it's just for you to know when to be firm, and also be self-aware of how you present to people, what do people think or generally of you, and don't lose your authenticity, but in the same place, be firm when need be. And over time, people will respect you, because if you're given a podium and you're still laughing, like right now, if I was just laughing the whole time, what is that, So you have to get a balance, and people will underestimate you either way. So just don't feel bad and just keep pushing, but also be self-aware. Thank you.
Thank you, Mercy. I saw a question from Lulu. Yes, Lulu, you want to engage in the answer?
Hi, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I hear you very well.
Okay. All right. So it's very interesting because I just responded to a question similar, apart from the mentorship question. There was a question similar about how you should carry yourself in public as a woman, not be seen when you're, laugh a lot or you're have fun. People don't take you seriously. I had a similar response. When you're at work, take yourself seriously. You have to be a professional at all times. People will respond to your professionalism, and professionalism is everything. It's about how you look. You cannot what's the word, underestimate the power of perception. So your appearance in itself can tell whether people should take you seriously or not. How you carry yourself, how you speak. I know we speak differently, but you can, like certain things, there is a professional way to speak when you're in a professional environment. But in terms of working with other women, I think in leadership, and if you are interested in leadership positions and you want to advance further in leadership career, you will always come across obstacles. You should be prepared for them because they're there, and you'll always come across obstacles. Not everybody will like you. Some people will not. You should be prepared for that. You should, again, I would go back to the professionalism. You will earn your respect by being a consummate professional, and showing results and impact of your work. If you're good at what you do, people will respect that. If you carry yourself in a respectful manner, and somebody mentions that you have to bring everybody on board. Yes, do as much as possible to bring everybody on board. But also don't let things like that put you down or bring you down. You should always focus on your end goal. What is it that you want to accomplish? There will always be naysayers, always. And that cannot be your focus. So you should try as much as possible to bring everybody on board, but then also remember, not everybody will be on board, and that's okay. As long as you have your focus and know exactly where it is you're going and what it is you want to achieve, and you do that in a manner. I think somebody previously spoke about humility. I also strongly believe in humility. Be humble, but at the same time, show people what you can do. Don't be shy about showing people what you can do and being proud of what you're capable of doing, and backing that up with what you have done as well. And show up every time you have to show up, be present, be in the moment, and make sure that every time you do your best, and that cannot be disputed by anyone. Nobody will dispute good good work. I mean, if you're good, you're good. Nobody will say anything against that. So let that your work, show what you can do.
Thank you everybody who's participated in this. The chat, I can see the gentleman Philip Punavi. Thank you for those remarks. He's saying that also male learn a lot from the female counterparts, and that's why they tune in and keep learning. There's always something to learn. Thank you so much. There's a lady, Hiba, who is impressed. Thank you, Hiba, for also tuning in. Thank you, everyone who has participated. If we don't have any questions, I want to thank our panelists. Thank you so much for honoring the invite. Thank you for always coming through us at the East Africa Law Society Women Leadership. We are so excited that you always come in and you're keen to share your experiences. Thank you.